Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So tonight's class, Bidnillahi ta'ala, we're going to finish the book, inshallah. Last session, we were speaking on al-i'tikaf and its rulings. And of course, when we talk about an act of worship in Islam that has rulings, there's also going to be an etiquette to that act of worship. So there are adab of i'tikaf, manners. From them, from the etiquette or from the manners of i'tikaf, alaykum salam, is that a Muslim, he should try his best not to annoy anyone. And he should try his best to be as patient and forbearant as he possibly can, not to be annoyed by others. Try your best not to annoy a fellow Muslim, and try your best to ignore, be naive, forget about it, be the bigger person, if and when a Muslim or Muslims are annoying you. It's very important advice. This advice is applicable to the salah, to the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ told us in so many authentic hadith why you can't eat onion and garlic. If you come to the masjid and you wear shoes and khufs, leather socks, clean them off, pray in them. And if you don't want to pray in your shoes or your socks, or you cannot, like your masjids today, which is haram to pray in shoes, then at least put them somewhere in which you don't لا يؤذي بهما غيره. You're not to harm anyone with your shoes. And subhanAllah, you just talk about Mecca and Medina, specifically Medina. When the masjid is too crowded and people pray in the courtyard, outside of the carpets, what do? They take their shoes off. Like we said the other night, not that the carpets are to be preserved. People pay Muslim money for the carpets are to be clean. No, 9 out of 10 Muslims today believe that it's haram to pray in shoes, period. That it cannot be done. Even if you're, outside. Understand? All right, no problem, cool. No biggie. Where do they put their shoes? In Medina. Do they put them right in front of them? Do they hold them? They do what? They break up the rows, and the rows have left space, and there's 3 or 4 different rows and ranks of dirty, nasty slippers and shoes. So you're making sujood people's shoes. You're moving out the way. That were in the bathroom, that were outside, and those are the same shoes that are haram to pray in, but they're now doing what to the Muslims? Harming and annoying the Muslims. Let alone your shoes get stolen. Your sandals get taken. Your sandals get misplaced. So, the Muslims today, including myself, us, I'm not talking about you, us, we're just in a state of perpetual backwardsness. We're not following the Sunnah, nor are we doing things that make sense in the world. Order, organization, it's just double loss. Spiritual loss and the worldly loss. Allahu musta'an, that's reality. So the Prophet ﷺ instructed us, when we come to the masjid, check your shoes, look at your shoes. If there's dirty, you wipe them off, and if not, you pray in them. And if you take them off, you aren't to annoy any Muslims with your shoes. And at the same time, you come to the masjid, and Muslim shoes are everywhere outside, you try your best to do what? Don't get mad, don't get upset, and ignore the annoyance of others. That's how you maximize your spiritual benefit. I didn't harm any Muslims. I didn't curse any Muslims. I didn't push any Muslims. I didn't get mad at any Muslims. And I'm not allowing the Muslims to get under my skin and on my nerves. So if you can do that during the i'tikaf, you can focus on your spirituality, your dua, your prayer, your sadaqah, your recitation of the glorious Quran. Inshallah ta'ala, hopefully you'll catch that night. That's better than 1,000 months. Your sins will be forgiven, inshallah. And hopefully you'll see the benefit upon yourself when you leave your i'tikaf, inshallah ta'ala. As far as if you allow people to get on your nerves, or as Muslims do, they want to fight and argue and poke at other Muslims, then that's very unfortunate. So those are some of the manners of i'tikaf. Don't annoy anyone, don't harm anyone, don't allow people to annoy you or harm you. It's not even worth it. Everyone understand this? Khair inshallah. Also, with regards to the etiquette and the manners of i'tikaf, is that if you're going to be in the masjid, don't have the devices, the phones, and the internet as if you're outside of the masjid. What's the purpose? So obviously you check your phone, there's something which is an emergency, have some last minute stuff coming in the mail for Eid, but many Muslims are on their phones 24/7 making i'tikaf. What's the purpose? Your mind isn't where your body is. Naam? So if you're going to cut yourself off and remove yourself from the dunya and give your mind and your soul a break, then you should do so. And from that is the phone or any other type of device. Khairan inshallah ta'ala, keep your thoughts pure. And that's a general rule for all of the time. Have good thoughts of the Muslims. Try to control your bad thoughts, intrusive thoughts, right? Inshallah ta'ala, try to clean your mind and not to think about other things that you would normally think about. In al-i'tikaf. And of course, one of the main things to do in i'tikaf, and one of the main things to do to catch Laylatul Qadr is prayer. So there's a connection between prayer and i'tikaf. And if you look at the rules and the manners, they're very similar if you think about it. What you cannot do in i'tikaf versus what you cannot do in the salah. You're supposed to be physically praying, but at the same time your mind is supposed to be where? In the salah, khushu'. You're supposed to turn off the dunya as the moment you come into the masjid. The moment the imam says Allahu Akbar, that's when what? Money, cars. You're supposed to do what? Just for a second. And if you do that, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when you finish the salah, you'll see some type of what? Benefit. As far as if you just pray, Allahu Akbar, and then that's it, in most cases, you're going to go right back to what you previously were. إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَا عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. That prayer forbids fahsha and munkar. Any prayer or the prayer that's made and done, and which your mind, body, and soul are what? Everyone understand this? Things that break your wudu, break your salah, things that break your i'tikaf. Naam. And the purpose and the objective of the salah is to get away and declare and to remind yourself that Allah is the greatest. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. So there are many similarities between i'tikaf and the 5 daily prayers. If you only but no. All right. Khair inshallah. Recommended i'tikaf, outside of Ramadan, during Ramadan, partial i'tikaf for half of a day, similar to voluntary prayers. You can pray what? 2, 4, 6. Your what? Your preference. Everyone understand this? Khair inshallah. All right. Wallahu alam. Let's move forward. The author, Shaykh Al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, the 5th thing which nullifies al-i'tikaf, after he spoke on the permissibility for women to perform i'tikaf. The permissibility and the recommendation for women to perform i'tikaf. We left off on a point which the Shaykh said, قُلْتُ وفيه دليل على جواز اعتكاف النساء أيضا ولا شك أن ذلك مقيد بإذن أوليائهن بذلك. The previous hadiths prove that women are allowed to make i'tikaf. And he said there's a restriction to this, and that restriction is that their walis, their male guardians, give them permission to make i'tikaf. Shaykh says, وَأَمْنِ الْفِتْنَةِ. Secondly, the second restriction or condition is that fitna can't be there. You have to be safe from fitna for the women or for the men. Number 3, wal khalwa ma'a rijal, and it cannot be all right, meshing, rubbing shoulders, shakes, hugs, daps, looking touchy-feely with what? With the opposite sex. لِلْأَدِلَّةِ الْكَثِيرَةِ فِي ذَلِكَ. And there are many proofs and evidence, much proof and evidence for that. Now, much proof and what? Evidence. Without an S, preferably. For what? For that. وَالْقَاعِدَةُ الْفِقْهِيَّةُ دَرْءُ الْمَفَاسِدِ مُقَدَّمٌ عَلَى جَلْبِ الْمَصَالِحِ. And last but not least, is a maxim, a major rule in Islam, the fiqh principle, which is repelling harm takes precedence over reaping benefit. Repelling harm takes precedence to reaping benefit. All right. Tell you. Once again, this goes to show the itikaf is directly connected to the prayers and to the masjid. What is the ruling on a woman going to the masjid? Does a woman have to ask permission? And if she does the husband have the choice to say no? Let's repeat the questions. A, can a woman go to the masjid? Should a woman go to the masjid? If the answer is yes, is it just open or are there any restrictions? If she's married, does she have to ask her husband's permission? May I go to the masjid tonight? And if she does ask, since she has to ask, does the husband have the ability to say no? Everyone understand or not? You have to ask permission first. Would that mean that I have the ability to? Scholars, they differ on that. Some scholars say, know your place. Some scholars say that the husband cannot say no. It's unlawful for him to say no. Even though the hadith says, إِذَا اسْتَأْذَنَتْ, when she seeks permission. And obviously, like you said, is it rhetorical? Can I come in? There may be times in which you have to ask, but it's automatically a what? Certain formalities out of respect. Not that it matters anything, but would you mind if I such and such? And in other scholars, they say no, on the contrary. Rather, if she has to ask permission, then the husband has the option of saying yes or no. No, but of course, that doesn't mean you can be tyrannical. You can't be a tyrant to your wife. And that's because of another hadith, which is authentic. لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله. Do not hinder, do not stop Allah's female servants from his masjids. All right, don't do that. Now, question is, A, a woman having to ask, that's number one. But what if the husband or the father or the uncle is just, a tyrant? You can't go nowhere, you can't do anything. I don't care, stay in the house. I'm going to go outside. I'm with the non-Muslims, the non-Muslim women, but you can't. I'm very, very jealous. Also, is there a such thing as amnul fitna, safety from fitna? When can a man be safe from fitna of women, and vice versa? They have different doors, separate entrances. Someone's going to see somebody, right? But what the Sheikh is clearly saying is a woman is being respected at that place. There's not no men just bursting in, walking in upon her. And FYI, this is something that happens very commonly here in this masjid. Women are up the steps, and their brothers just casually walk up the steps. Just casually just walk into the sisters' area like it's nothing. Brothers are coming up, Assalamu alaikum, sisters, no, we just like that. Brothers open up the door casually. Several times. Open up the door, I'm looking for my wife and my daughter. But your wife is walking down the steps. So I'm looking for my wife and then hey, Assalamu alaikum. You have to be mindful with regards to men and women. As we have explained before, there are times in which men and women are allowed to be in the same place. And there's a mixing that is a part of Islam. It's a fact. There's 5 daily prayers, tawaf, hajj, umrah. And there's a time and a place and a way in which it isn't. And of course, there are different levels and types of mixing and separation. There are what? Levels and types. What's important is amin al-fitna. You lower your gaze. If you have to speak to the opposite sex, it's not haram. Assalamu alaikum, dara. You're having a laughing, joking, chitter chat, staring, flirting. That's not amin al-fitna. How you dress as a brother, how she dresses as a brother, the Eid. You're wearing these clothes, this perfume, that's not amnul fitna. You're not protecting the people from fitna. All right, so we have to be mindful, all of us, starting with myself, everyone else. Khalwa, a man isn't allowed to be with a woman that he is not a mahram for. They cannot be alone together. Naam. And also, one may say, a woman coming to the masjid, not at the expense of her ignoring and neglecting her other responsibilities. Whatever those responsibilities may be, not at the expense of ignoring them. Naam? And of course, the husband is supposed to be cooperative with his wife. Why would you tell your wife she can't go to the masjid? For what? She's that busy at home. It's nothing. She can't have a break in Ramadan. You can't order out food tonight for her to go to the house of Allah during the last 10 nights. Is it that critical? Your wife can't come to the house of Allah? Are you that jealous? She's covered, no one can see her silhouette. So balance and moderation. And balance and moderation doesn't mean watering down the potency of the truth. Balance and moderation doesn't mean compromising the truth. Balance and moderation, you take the truth, you adopt the truth, but you're moderate and balanced. And you're neither extreme, right or left, nonchalant. Are you understanding this? And the quality of your life is better when you have balance and moderation. That's a fact. All right. I've been in many masjids before. Brothers have argued and fought over women making i'tikaf. They can't. And if they can, then they shouldn't. Naam. May Allah help us all. طيب. Move forward. Number 5. ويبطله الجماع لقوله تعالى ولا تباشروهن وأنتم عاكفون في المساجد. وقال ابن عباس إذا جامع المعتكف بطل اعتكافه واستأنف ولا كفارة عليه لعدم ورود ذلك على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وانتهى إعادة النظر فيه وتنقيحه وإضافة فوائد جديدة إليه بقلم مؤلفه فجر يوم الأحد 26 رجب سنة 1406 للهجرة. وصلى الله على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. عمان الأردن. وكتب محمد ناصر الدين الألباني. The fifth and final thing he says that nullifies one's i'tikaf is sexual intercourse. If a man has sexual intercourse with his wife, then his i'tikaf is ruined. Is ruined. The proof for that is the verse from Surah Al-Baqarah that we have quoted several times. وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. Do not come in contact with women when you're making i'tikaf in the masjids. He quotes Abdullah ibn Abbas as saying, when a man in i'tikaf does jima', he has intercourse, batula. His i'tikaf is done. It's no. وَاسْتَأْنَفْ. And the only thing he has to do is make his i'tikaf from anew. It's to start over. Sheikh Abani says there's no expiation for doing that. There's no kafara to be made. And the reason why there's no kafara is because there's no proof and there's no evidence stating that there is a kafara. This is the end of the book. The author, he ended the book by supplicating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said that he made the final edit of this book in 1406. Sunday morning in Rajab in Amman, Jordan. And prayers and salutations upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah, that's the end of the book. Alhamdulillah, we successfully finished it. Not directly from cover to cover, but we did the reading and the commentary of the overwhelming majority of the book. Inshallah ta'ala, the classes are there. Anyone online, the brothers in the masjid, sisters in the masjid, you can refer to the explanation. You can go back. It's for free. You can download it. You can go across the benefits. And most importantly, you can expand on what the author gave you and what we gave you. We pour a little bit in your cup and you can do what? You can do the rest. You can read, you can ask, you can debate, you can question, etc. We've given you the foundation and more than the foundation. And you can what? Make your own journey if and wish, or if and when you please to do so. All right, so we'll stop here. We'll try to leave time for questions. Inshallah, tomorrow's class, Thursday, bidnillahi ta'ala, we'll move on to a new chapter, a new chamber. See what that chamber will be. Bidnillahi ta'ala. Wallahu alam. Are there any questions from brothers or sisters here? Are there any questions from anyone here in the masjid? Sisters can send the questions down if they like as well. Fadl Nafis. Alaikum salam. طيب خيرا. Give them a few minutes inshallah. Fadl Amu.
Example, I marry, I give my wife the mahar. After 8 years, we have problems, we want to separate. But I need my mahar back again. And what's the punishment or advice for that?
طيب, I got married 8 years ago. I paid the mahar. Things went south. I need mine back. How do we go? Well, it depends on the type of divorce. If you divorced her, even if it was her request, then there's nothing that she has to pay you. As far as if she demands that you divorce her, you say, no, I married you with the intention of till death do us part. That's what the imam said in the chapel, the temple. Till death what? I put the ring on your finger, the big fat diamond ring. I had no intention on divorcing you. So I'm not divorcing you. I'm sorry. We'll work it out. You deal with my problems. I deal with yours. La, over my dead body. It'd be a cold day in Jahannam before I divorce you. No, I want to get a divorce. Let me go. I don't love you. I don't want to be with you anymore. It's time to move on. The marriage is toxic. We've been through too much. The kids are bigger, older now. Let me go. This is what the Quran tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah. That there's no sin. There's no problem. Fi maftadat bihi. She ransoms herself. Let me go and I'll give you back. And I'll pay you this. And of course, in this world, this dunya, money talks. And nonsense, what? Takes the what runs the lap. What do you say? Takes the marathon before he tossed him over the bridge. If you remember. Correct or incorrect? Tayyib. So, if a man says, I'll let you go, I'll divorce you, you give me the money or the ring or the gold, no problem. If that is the scenario that we're dealing with, al-khula', then the woman must pay. If the husband says, give me back the mahar, she has to give it back, even 8 years later. I don't have it, I can give you half or a third later on, whatever they agree upon. It's best for the husband to let her go without the khula', without the ransom, without the money. However, the man's haqq, I didn't marry you with the intention of divorcing you. I didn't pay you the mahar with the intention of letting you go. So how's that fair to him? And at the same time, the woman wants to leave, how is it fair to her? So therefore, once again, to simplify things, after 8 or 10 or 20 or 30 years, if the man is divorcing the woman, she doesn't have to pay anything. If the woman is forcing the divorce, demanding the divorce, she must pay. Unless the husband says, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And obviously, if a husband is going to say, don't worry about it, then in most cases, he's going to make the talaq. As you said, rhetorical or redundant. If the man is saying la ba's, it's okay, then why won't he just what? Divorce her. Make the talaq in the first place. Not too many people think about that though when they talk about it. Do you have to pay? Is the khula' valid without? If a man is willing to let go, he would just what? But I'm not willing to let go. I don't. All right, here you go. So therefore, if the woman is seeking the khula', she must pay, as the Quran clearly tells us. No matter how many years later. If she doesn't have it, they go into an agreement. That's a different story. Clear on that? Last but not least, husbands, men and women, they should be mindful when they get married. There's nothing wrong with having nice things in Islam, as long as they're lawful. It's okay. Everybody likes nice things, including myself. We all like nice things. Some of us like nice things too much, but we all like nice things. You have a nice wedding, mashallah, a nice banquet. You give your wife some jewelry. You give her a nice ring, alhamdulillah. But don't go overboard with the mahar. Don't go overboard with the gold and the party. Because in most cases, you go crazy overboard, you spend all of that money, and next thing you know what? They're divorced. And of course, I spent all that money, I'm going to throw it in your face. Do you know how much money I paid? Do you know how much money I had to give your greedy father? Do you know how much money he demanded for you? You can't even cook. You're not even that pretty. You're such and such. All of that is going to come to the surface. You weren't even worth it. That's the first thing he's going to say to her. Let alone if she wants to get out the marriage, he's abusive, etc. What's the first thing he's going to say? You got to pay me. You know how many thousands of dollars I spent on gold? I want it back. I'm going to pawn it on Liberty Avenue. Or I'm going to give it to a new wife. You got to be mindful. Never bite off more than what? Wise men say. So this is from the harms of having these super duper extravagant weddings and marriages. It's harmful to everyone. It's harmful to the bride. It's harmful to the groom. It's harmful to the people. And it is harmful to the people who aren't yet married. And that is because when a young brother wants to get married in the masjid, or the young righteous sister, she can't get married because you don't have this much money, which isn't needed. Only thing I need to get married is this. Apartment, blah, 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 blah. A ring, alhamdulillah. La. Something for the imam, of course. He grease his palm, right? It's a gift to the imam for doing the ceremony. That's it. $50, $100, that's it. $500, that's it. But Fulan, they got married. Did you see their bash? And this family, they got married. Did you see the hall that they rented out? Did you see the horse that he brought, that he came riding in on? Did you see the gold that she had on her neck? So you can't get married unless what? So the expensive, extravagant marriages harm everyone. No one benefits from them. Nobody. The girl doesn't get the money. The father, the family, they take the money, etc. It's just mafasid, yani. And this is all the punishment of going against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. With regards to having manageable mahar. Manageable. Your culture, no problem. Labas. But that's not manageable. That's breaking the back of the groom. And what barakah do you expect to be in a marriage in which you start the marriage off by being drowned in debt? How much stress is going to be in a marriage? How stressful are you when you have a bill past due? Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars I have to pay back just for the walima. And then another walima, and then a third walima, and this cultural walima. And then you wonder why they have a miserable marriage. So we need to wake up. The sunnah is a means of simplicity and ease and happiness. And when people grow old, after they had the wealth, after they had the riches, and they go through all of the problems of the dunya, they all want one thing. And they all remember one thing. Can it be what? So simple. All so simple. That's a fact. Remember when I left the farm when I was a little boy? I'm in jail for the rest of my life. I'm here. Remember when we were poor in the streets? Remember we used to play stickball together? Remember how easy it was? We didn't have no food. Life was so simple when you had less. And when the wealth is, the riches came. So that's a reminder for us all. Marriage isn't supposed to be something that breaks your back. It's supposed to make your back stronger. Inshallah. Wallahu alam. Khair inshallah.
Well, what should somebody do from the Quran when they're in Etiquette? Should they just complete it, or specific surahs? Or
What should someone do with regards to the Quran when they make an i'tikaf? Completed certain surahs, etc. Well, it depends on your normal Ramadan speed, your pace. If you're finishing the Mus'haf just once a month in Ramadan, then i'tikaf is going to be included in that one time. So I'm making i'tikaf the last 10 days, 10 nights, for argument's sake, the last 10 juz, and then nothing extra or special, for argument's sake, for argument's sake. If a Muslim is going to try to read the Quran more than once during 1 month, twice in a month, then you're going to go in that cycle. How fast can you read the whole Quran in a month? Is it lawful to read it in 10 days? Can you read it in less than 10 days? That's a different discussion. What the Prophet ﷺ said, forbidding Muslims from reading the Quran and running through it too quickly in 1 month or less than a month, etc. So for argument's sake, I'm doing 2 khatams this month, and right now I'm in Juz 12. Last 2 nights, I'm going to read as much as I can to finish that. Or I'm going to take my normal pace, and I'm going to memorize some more. I'm going to review some more. There's no prohibition, inshallah, of how much you can memorize on a daily basis. There's no prohibition, inshallah, how much you can review. But just reading it from Al-Fatiha to An-Nas. That should be at least what? Once a month. At least once a month. Outside of Ramadan including. Many of us, we only have a relationship with the Quran during Ramadan. And that's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. Ala kulli hal, you have the option, inshallah. Right? And if you want to just read based off of your cycle or outside of that, la bas. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Clear? Wallahu alam.
Another question on Quran.
Fadal.
You gave a khutbah 1 week about reciting Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Ali Imran. Is there any other surah that one should read for barakah or for maybe affliction, etc.?
Question is regarding what was mentioned some weeks ago about the virtue and the excellence to read Al-Baqarah and Ali Imran. Are there any other surahs for barakah, for protection, etc.? Yes. Yes and no is the answer. The no part is the hadith that we quoted clearly stated, Jazakallah khairan, that Baqarah and Ali Imran have a special status. Period. So Baqarah and Ali Imran are Baqarah and Ali Imran. Not Nisa, not Ma'idah. The Prophet ﷺ said what? Az-Zahrawain. Iqra'u az-Zahrawaini. Read the 2. The surahs full of beauty and light. Baqarah and Ali Imran. So what the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith about the magicians, about وَتَرْكُهَا حَسْرَةً, Alaikum salam, then that's specific to them. However, the whole entire Quran is a means of barakah, and a means of protection, and a means of ruqyah, and a means of reward. And of course, there are other surahs in the Quran as well that you're going to read for certain things, based off of what was mentioned in the authentic hadiths. If there's an authentic hadith saying that this surah allows this, gives that, that's what you're going to do. And if you don't have that specific authentic hadith, then you're taking the general barakah of the Quran and the general protection of the Quran. And reciting Allah's words is a general means of your rizq being enhanced and blessed, etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Translation.
Will you be rewarded for reading the translation? Yes, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Anything that you busy yourself with of good and positivity is a means of reward. And as a Muslim, I'm a 9 to 5 lay Muslim. I don't know Arabic. I'm reading the translations of the meanings. That's a part of my religion. Me understanding my religion, practicing my religion, me having confidence in my religion. No non-Muslim can tell me about Islam because I read it myself in the Quran. That Allah is most merciful. I read it myself. So that's a means of benefit. There's no doubt about that. But it is inferior and unequal to reading the actual mushaf. Harfan min kitabillah. 1 letter. Understand? Wallahu alam.
Initial DC from Philadelphia, PA. What can I do about a wife that's extremely jealous?
What can I do about a wife that is extremely jealous? Make dua for yourself and for her. Pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove some of that jealousy, give her some more balance and moderation. And you make dua for yourself to be more patient. You make dua for yourself to be a better husband. Perhaps her extreme jealousy is a result of some things you're lacking. Maybe you're lacking things. Human beings in general, men and women, let alone women, they need to be reassured. And no one take this the wrong way or get mad or upset or call me a misogynist. Maybe I am. That's maybe the case, but don't call me that right now. Women, they need to be reassured more than you think. So you give your wife compliments. You tell her how much you love her, how much you miss her, how well she looks, and how good of a wife she is, and how happy and how fortunate you are. Maybe she's extremely jealous because she's extremely insecure. And maybe she's extremely insecure because you yourself aren't giving her what she needs. And the general ruling for a husband is, if you think that you told your wife that you love her and miss her enough times, you haven't. I just told you I love you. Say it again. Again and again and again. Men and women aren't the what? They aren't the same. You see a brother, Assalamu alaikum, what's up, Sheikh? What's good? Alhamdulillah, no problem. I apologize. We went through something. I'm sorry, Mahat, for calling you a Shia. I'm sorry. He forgives me. It's done. But a wife, you might need to keep what? Apologizing. I just apologized. You're treating your wife as if she's a brother in the masjid. A woman and a man are two different creatures. If you really want to get technical, as if they're two different beings. The way that they think and look at life is night and day. So you gotta be mindful of that. And of course, you have to give your wife advice. Give her nasiha. She has to make jihad on nafs. Extreme emotions are bad. Extreme jealousy, extreme this. And it's bad if it's too much. Now, and last but not least, you gotta be patient. And there's another way you can deal with that as well, but we ain't gonna mention that right now on the live stream. Inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu alam. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdi wa rasulih nabina Muhammad. Mahal, I'm sorry for attacking your aqidah.